Hey everybody, it's Linda Faulkner. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Maine, and I love surprises. If you like surprises, I've got some for you in today's special fall thankful card. So come join me. I promised you a couple of surprises. The first one is this card opens up two different ways. So the banner opens and then the inside of the card also opens. So it's kind of like revealing a little secret compartment. I ran out of the beautiful peacock color in cardstock, so I had to play around with some of the other choices, and I'm excited because turns out I like the new ones even better. So here's the second card. Isn't that beautiful? It still says fall, but it's not quite the dark traditional colors. So it has the same double opening with a little stamping on the inside. You could add your sentiment or a little note on the inside. So let me show you what we used to get started. Harvest Hellos is the cling stamp set, and it has both an apple and a pumpkin as well as some cute sentiments. So we're using the pumpkin today. And then this is an oldie but goodie. It's still available in the catalog, Country Home. And it had the little milk can and the pitcher and some really pretty sentiments along with some flowers. Now the punches I used, this is Harvest Hello, and it makes both an apple and a pumpkin. And then this is the triple banner punch. This is one that you can use to make 3 different sizes of banners when you're trying to make that perfect angle in the middle. There's several ways of doing that without a punch, but I can tell you the punch gets it right every time. The other thing I wanted to show you before we start is all of this is coming from the Come to Gather suite. This is in the Stampin' Up's holiday catalog. And we are using the designer series paper, and I love the new colors that have come out for fall this year. I'm seeing them everywhere. So this peacock color is one of our new in colors, and I'm seeing it lots and lots of places. The other thing I wanted you to see, there are some other stamp sets I'm not using, Gather Together, and then beautiful designs with the turkey and the feather on the Day of Thanks. So take a look at that suite. I think there's more to it than meets the eye in the very beginning. All right, let's move everything out of the way and start stamping. I have my card kit here. I'm just going to dump it and pull all the pieces out. This is going to go on my envelope flap, and you can use either side, so we'll pull that aside. The base of my card, notice this is going to be a little different. Here is my pretty peacock colors. I am going to be using Pretty Peacock instead of the Pear Pizzazz on the back. They all coordinate. That's one of the things I like about Stampin' Up! Products. This is going to be our banner, and then this will go in the middle. So I'll be adhering those together, and then our card's going to go together just like that. Different combination, but I like it. I hope you do too. All right, so the first step is let's adhere what we can. I'm going to put this little piece on top, and look what you can do. If you like that better, you know, I kind of think I do. I don't know which side. Let's do it just for fun. So we're going to switch the front, and I'm just going to use regular snail adhesive. There's not a lot of pressure on this part, so I don't need extra. And I'm going to center that in the middle of this little open piece. And let me get you some measurements on this. How about I'll just post it on notebooks across the room. So when I redo the video and do a little editing, I'll post the different dimensions for you there. That's a little easier. The next thing I think I want to do is some stamping. We're going to need to stamp, I'll bring this one back, our pumpkin, and I stamped that in silver ink. And we're going to need to stamp our sentiment and then a little flower for the inside. So I've got my silver ink. This is my ink. I already had some silver, but Stampin' Up! Has a silver ink if you don't have one in the holiday catalog for your holiday projects. And let's go with the pumpkin first. And notice I can do either side again, but I think I'm going to use the gingham, and that's in that pretty peacock. And I'm going to stamp that. That worked great. And this is going to be embossed, so I'm going to be sprinkling a little bit of embossing powder on the top of it while it's wet. I recommend a paper plate, but I'm going to see if I can get away with just using this little piece of paper. And I also recommend you close your ink up before you get your embossing powder out. I had a little disaster with embossing powder. The other day I had my embossing tool running, and I turned around before I turned it off, and I sprayed all of my embossing powder all over my desk. That worked great. Some of you avid stampers notice I forgot to do my embossing buddy on the top, but I'll do it on the next one so you can see. I got away with it, looks like, on this one. Looks like it's in pretty good shape. So the next step is going to be the hardest, and that's going to be stamping the sentiment. So this is Simply Thankful for All the Good Things, and it is from the Country Home stamp set. So I'm going to be stamping that on the banner. And it's going to go close to the outside edge right here. So I think I better punch that edge out before I start so I know exactly where I want to stamp. The triple banner punch, it has 3 different levels. So I'm going, this is 2 inches, so I'm going to go all the way through and turn it to the back. Make sure it's centered and just simply punch. And it works out beautifully. See how pretty that is? It's a little easier than some of the tricks we have come up with for getting that exactly straight when we don't have that punch. Before I go any further, I'm dumping, and I'm kind of doing this a little dangerously. Dumping my embossing powder back in and put the lid on before I do anything else. So this is the hardest part to me, is getting this stamped straight. And I found the secret is putting it on my block straight. If I have it on a little crooked, it makes it harder. So let's see if I can do it without actually leaning on top of it. All right, hold your mouth right. I think we got it. And again, what did I forget? My embossing buddy. Oh well. Let's sprinkle. And this is the only part, you really have to do this immediately. You can heat it up a little later, but you need to get that embossing powder on there while it's still wet. And again, I got pretty lucky. If I had little stray bits of powder, and like I do down here, if it's far away from the writing, you can blow on it and you can rub your finger across it. But if it's too close, I use like a Q-tip or something to catch that. So I'm going to put my embossing powder back with the lid before I turn the machine on. Let's go ahead and emboss this. I love embossing. I think that's what got me hooked into stamping. It's just like magic. So excuse the noise for a minute. I'm going to heat this up, and then I want you to watch it turn this beautiful silver color right before your eyes. If I had an extra hand, we'd do a drum roll. All right, let's go. I have enough room to hold this so I don't burn my fingers, but if it's too close, use a clothespin or tweezers or some kind of a tool so that you don't burn your hands. I hope you can see it is starting to happen. You love that. I don't ever get tired of watching that. All right, I'm going to switch hands. There we go. Ooh, pretty. All right, that turned out great. And let's do the other. Sorry it's upside down, but it's easier to hold that way. Okay, here it comes. There we go. So I stamped with silver, and I also used silver embossing powder. You could stamp it with Versamark, and it would be kind of a clear ink, and then put in silver embossing powder on it also. But since I had the silver, I wanted to go ahead and use it. It makes it just a little bit brighter. So that is all there is to embossing. That was easy. We got it. All right, so let's go back and do a little more assembly. I've got, this is 5.5 inches long across for my card. So I've got probably about 6 inches of burlap ribbon. I'm thinking white. They have a white, it's not burlap, but it's similar to, looks a little bit like burlap. Maybe it is burlap. They have a white one, that ribbon that's similar to this. That would be really pretty here too. And I like to hang it over both edges. I just use tape runner and it works great. And then I'm going to trim the ends off so that it's perfectly straight. My granddaughter says nothing is perfect, which she's really right. But we'll get as close as we can. So I get corrected every time I say, that's perfect. Jaja, nothing is perfect. Feels like I'm rambling today. I don't know, I'm not very focused. The leaves are just gorgeous out my window, and they're falling fairly quickly. So it's distracting me. It's like a snowstorm out there with leaves. Okay, let's see. The next thing I want to do, let's go ahead and get the apple on. No, I'm gonna wait. Let's go ahead and assemble our card now. I think we can do that. Now I'm going to use some, I think tape runner is gonna be all right. You can also use scoring tape, or if you have any of the old fast fuse, that would work well. I'm going to put a lot on there. It will have some pressure, but I think we'll be fine with our tape runner. So I'm going to put this, okay, that's ready to go. But before I do that, I want to put this down underneath it so that my little flap won't show. This, I have a 1-inch flap on the end when you see the measurements. So with the flap, it's going to be 5.5 inches once we cut off our little banner. So I think it might be 5 3/4 or something. Those measurements will be there. I don't remember. Imagine that. I don't remember. Welcome to my life. There we go. Couple strands of tape runner. And if it's a little too long, just tear it off. And that's going to hold that flap nice and tight. It does get quite a bit of open and close, so it needs a little extra. So once I peel those backings off, I'm going to fold the flap under, and then I'm going to center it here on my card. Now I would like for you to pull it off the card just a little bit, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, so that will give you enough room to close it. You don't want it to get hung up on that inside piece. Okay, so you see how that works? And then we're ready to put our inside down. It can, the actual flap can close either way. So if you put something on the wrong side, just switch it. It's not a big deal. And I'm gonna not quite go to the edge of my pretty peacock. Okay, and that will work like that. So we're getting there. So all we need to do is add our pumpkin and our page inside that we need to stamp on. So let's do our stamping first. So I have a little piece of cardstock that's going to fit inside, and I want to stamp that in, I think I'm going to use Pear Pizzazz. I have the flower stamp from the Country Home. I'm using this particular stamp. There's another one that would also work. And I'm going to the corner, so it's going to be stamping off the corner of my little piece of cardstock that goes on the inside. So you see that? That'll work. Now, I have the other one I'll show you. If this is a, yeah, this one. Look how many flowers I ended up with. And the reason for that was I made a mistake and I smudged it with ink. So I just added more flowers to cover it up, and it looks like it was intentional. Some of my best work is done from correcting my mistakes, seems like. So we'll just add a little tape runner to the back and attach that. And I use cardstock. You could use just regular notebook paper, but I just wanted to make sure you couldn't see through it. So here we go. And that's going to go on the inside. That'd be pretty. You could add another sentiment. I really don't know who I'm sending this to, so I don't want to do that yet. Okay. All right, now we need to finish up with our little apple. So I have my apple here and punch. And it looks like, yeah, I'm gonna need to cut just a tiny bit off of the bottom to make it fit in my punch. Just line it up. There we go. And you're going to end up with an extra leaf and a stem that you could save and use for another one, because I'm going to use silver. So my pumpkin is ready. I'm going to pop him on with pop dots, Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of it. So here's our other choice. But I think the checks, the gingham really pops out rather than using the other side. I think maybe about 3 dimensionals. 1, 2, 3. My stem and my leaf are now stuck to my mat where there was a little bit of glue or snail adhesive. Okay, pretty. All right, now I have a little scrap of silver foil, and I'm just going to stamp out my stem and my leaf. I don't need to go all the way through the pumpkin, although a silver pumpkin would be really pretty too. And I have, oh, there it is, it's hiding. Okay, we've got both of those, and small glue dots are going to be your friend here. I think you'll like them. So I'm going to put the stem on first, and then I'll tie my little bow. And you have to pay attention. One is an apple, and the other way is a pumpkin. I think the pumpkin has the widest part close to the pumpkin because pumpkins are heavy. You all can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. It won't be the first time. All right, see what I'm doing? I have a glue dot on the back of the stem, the widest part, and I'm just gonna tuck that right underneath the top of my pumpkin. So he's good. And now I want to get my ribbon on. Here I used the braided twine, and I like it. Here I used the linen thread. I think I'm gonna use linen thread on this one. You could also use a silver or a white would be pretty. Any of those would work. So I found it's easiest for me if I put a little bitty glue dot right on the end of the stem, close to the pumpkin, and then when I tie my linen thread, and I've got about 6 or 8 inches, somewhere in there. This one's smaller, but I would recommend, I usually cut them big, so I usually cut at least 8 inches if I've got to tie anything. It just saves some of the hassle. Okay, so that is actually attached to that glue dot now, so that's gonna help hold it while I try to tie a bow. So I am doing something very dangerous, is what my granddaughter says. She likes to do things that are very dangerous, she says. But tying a bow on camera is what I would call very dangerous. I kind of like it big. I'm gonna leave it just like it is, just like that. Well, no, I won't. There, maybe just a little bit. Okay, and now I'm gonna attach my leaf with a glue dot. And I'm gonna pick one up. I think they're the same on each end, so it doesn't really matter. And tuck that right underneath my bow. What do you think? You like it? Isn't that pretty? Now, you see how it's popping up? That's going to happen. I found if I put just a little smidge of tape runner here, it's gonna hold it. It's because it's not gonna tear your card up because it's going right to that ribbon. So I like that. And then the last thing I want to do is add some silver pearls. And they're going to go 3 silver pearls right there. So let me grab them. Oh, they're here. That's a surprise. I told you there were lots of surprises. So to pick your little pearls up, you need a tool usually, unless you have really long fingernails. And I'm going to just slide it right there. And another one. And a third. Oh, I need a little more tape runners popping back up. That's why I tried to leave space here, but evidently I did not leave enough on the side. And the thickness is popping it back up. Okay, 3 pearls, here we go. So here's one version. Opens like that. Isn't that pretty? And another version using the pear instead of the peacock on the back. And then the original that I started with is this one. Just like that. I hope you had fun. This is a really fun card. I have another project to show you right here, and it'll be my next video. This is just a little post-it note holder, and it stands up like an easel, just like that. So we'll be working on those, doing some fall and some for Christmas next week. So come back and join me. Thanks again for coming. I'll have all the information about my blog and how to contact me, etc. on the very end of the video. Thanks so much, and we'll hope you have a great day.